Okay, no surprise. We wouldn't want to break to tradition. We'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 228. Amelia, will you give us an overview?
Certainly, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Senate Bill number 228 relates to the collection and remittance of sales and compensating use tax and would allow a retailer in this state to retain the state rate of tax collected on movie ticket and concession sales commencing on July 1, 2021 and ending prior to July 1, 2023. The retailer would still remit the local portion of the tax collected to the Department of Revenue, and the bill would take effect from and after publication in the statute book.
Thank you, Amelia. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, our first conferee is Bobby Bagby. Welcome to the committee.
The circuit. Thank you. That's much better. We have movie theaters across the state.
Could you state your name?
Of course. I'm Bobby Bagby, and I'm with B&B Theaters, and I'm fourth generation in my family business. We own and operate movie theaters. We have 11 in the state of Kansas. And it's been a really, really devastatingly hard year. We are still operating at an 80% loss over 2019. That number's up from what it was even 6 months ago, but still that's an 80% loss. That's been really devastating. And this bill will allow us the time to ramp back up. The reality is we are still very reliant on the larger metropolitan areas, whether it's New York City, which is still only at a 10% occupancy, LA County, that's only a 10% occupancy, and all of Europe, which is completely shut down as far as movie theaters right now. And the studios just won't give us product at any steady rate until they can kind of have those global numbers coming in. The state of Kansas has been awesome. You guys have been so great with us. You've opened things up as quickly as was safe and did a grant program, which was wonderful. We immediately used that to pay our property taxes to the state. It was, not to sound ungrateful, incredibly grateful for that, but it is not enough for us to help get us past the finish line for all of this. I think the future looks bright. We're getting really close to the point that we'll be opened back up in full capacity, but as far as the steady stream of movies, but it's going to take time for customers to get back in the habit, for the rest of the world to open up so we can get those movies in. And I can't tell you how helpful this would be for the future of my family business. And the state movie theaters bring in approximately $130 million based on 2019 numbers. That doesn't even touch on foot traffic that happens in a community. We are, in many cases, the only form of out-of-home entertainment, and especially in our smaller communities here in Kansas. And people stop and go to the restaurant and grab an ice cream and grab a drink before or after. And so that, filters throughout the community and the extra spend in the community for every ticket sold.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Any questions for the conferee? Senator Stephan.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm going to get a little personal as to your business.
Please.
I apologize. Do you own the buildings and the land that your theaters are on your locations?
It depends on the location. There are some that other people own and we operate, but the majority in Kansas we own and operate.
And I apologize.
That's okay.
Did you receive any sort of property tax relief during that time period from any of the counties?
No, we did not. We did receive the grant money that was given from the state, $10,000 per screen, but we did not receive property tax relief.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Senator Close.
In your testimony, thank you, Madam Chair, sorry. In your testimony, you mentioned you were relying on product or out-of-state product. Could you focus on?
Sure. So, we show movies, right, that are produced primarily and distributed from Los Angeles. And this year, unlike a restaurant that was able to continue to do takeout, we were kind of a grocery store that only had old cans of soup. We only had older movies to play. We didn't have any new product. Because the studios don't want to put out their brand new movies until they can, get the best return on investment. And so they are waiting for for the entire world to be back at 50 or 100% capacity. And like as I said, the big highest revenue locations like New York City and Los Angeles are still only at a 10% occupancy. And so they're just delaying. I will say that only 20% of movies that were scheduled to come out in 2020 went to streaming. The majority, that means 80%, have been pushed into the future, whether it's later this year or into next year. So they still believe in theatrical distribution. The future looks really bright. A little tiny snippet here is that Wonder Woman was released in streaming and in our theaters during the holidays. And if you saw it at home, they gave it on average a 3.5-star review. And if they saw it in movie theaters, it was a 5-star review, 4.7 to 5-star review. So it's obvious that people want to see movies and when they want to get out of home. And the studios recognize that. They just have to wait until it's kind of everyone is available to get the highest return on investment, which is frustrating, but it is where we are.
Thank you. Committee, any other questions? Thank you for your testimony and your passion.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Committee, the next conferee is John Curry online.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in full support of SB 228. My name is John Curry, and I'm a Senior Vice President with Regal, and I've had the privilege of serving guests and team members for nearly 30 years in the business. We operate 6 locations under the Hollywood and Warren brands in Kansas. 3 are in Wichita, 2 are in Topeka, and 1 is in Lawrence. As you know, movie theaters are important cultural institutions for the communities we serve. We're anchors in the lifestyle centers, the malls, and Main Street, Kansas in general. We drive much needed foot traffic to nearby businesses like restaurants, cafes, and local shops. We provide employment opportunities. And in fact, Regal is lucky to have about 520 incredible team members in Kansas, not to mention the indirect jobs we help create in the janitorial and security service industries. Our business has been absolutely devastated. The pandemic has been debilitating to our business. We have been predominantly closed for over 1 year with no revenue. We've had to make the gut-wrenching decision to furlough the vast majority of our team members, and we continue to face many challenges. For example, with no revenue coming in, we still have mounting fixed expenses like rent, utilities, and taxes, to name a few. We have compliance regulations regarding operating restrictions such as occupancy and distancing in theaters. And like Bobby had said, we still are working with studios to firm up release dates. Unfortunately, many of them have moved to later in the year or subsequent years with some of their titles. And then they have also, worst case scenario, have elected to go with some streaming services, which further hurts our business. And then lastly, there are also costs to safely reopen the theaters. Now, we have a very long road to recovery here in our business. Data currently suggests that significant recovery will not take place until 2023 and 2024. We've all been forced to look at various ways to try to survive. Many, including Regal, have had to increase debt loads. We've worked with our partners and suppliers and landlords to extend terms and make alternative payment arrangements. And we continue to seek assistance from states in which we proudly serve. And like Bobby said, we are incredibly grateful for the state of Kansas and the grant program that they provided. And it did help our 6 locations pay some of those taxes or utility bills, et cetera. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for that. But rest assured, we are turning over every rock in order to make it through these difficult times. But we still need your help because it is a long road for recovery. SB 228 would provide a vital lifeline for movie theaters during our recovery period. It would give us a boost to help cover some operating costs during the allotted time frame. And really, this could literally help us keep the lights on by covering a portion of our utility bills. So in closing, we come to you today to ask for some much needed assistance so that we can get our teams back to work, safely reopen for our guests, and start to help drive foot traffic to our neighboring businesses. I cannot think of a better time to help Kansas movie theaters than now. So we are exhausting every avenue, and in order to sustain these dark times, we could truly use a helping hand for the next couple of years. And this bill would help us do just that. So thank you again for your time. We appreciate you, and I'm able to answer any questions that you may have.
On committee, any questions? Senator Steffen.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the same question I asked before. If you do own any of your locations and buildings, did you receive any property tax abatement?
Not to my knowledge, sir, we lease the majority of our properties.
Thank you. Committee, Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. John, good morning. Thanks for being here. And I do like the Hollywood Theater in Lawrence, so keep up the good work. No, sir, seriously, I do have a couple questions for you. Are you guys convinced you guys are going to be able to bounce back post-COVID? I'm just wondering if you already have a paradigm shift where you're just going to have more people just, streaming in-home services, and maybe going out is a thing of the past. Can you speak to that? What are your industry, what is your industry seeing in that regards, if there's any downturn long-term?
So our industry, and I'll use a word from a good friend of ours, the obituary for the movie theaters have been written many times. When you have VHS or DVD or, the Blockbuster days, et cetera. So we do feel very comfortable that we are going to bounce back from this. We can also look here recently to the bounce back of the movie theater industry overseas in China and Japan. So after they've emerged from the somewhat of the COVID pandemic restrictions and so forth, their box office has been booming. So we feel very much that people do still want to get out and enjoy a movie where it's meant to be seen on the big screen. We are, we're habitual in wanting to go out and laugh together and cry together, et cetera. So we believe that the movie theaters will absolutely bounce back.
Madam Chair, one more question, if I could. John, thank you for that response. The other question I would have is that, your industry is here today seeking a sales tax, I guess temporary exemption. You're taking your concessions. Obviously, we've had a number of bills before us to talk about some relief on property tax. Talk to me from a policy perspective, why the emphasis on sales tax, and then just to go down the road a little bit further, if you guys get the sales tax, I'm wondering, shouldn't every business get the sales tax whose thing was adversely impacted by COVID? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think our industry has probably been hit more than most. We kind of are a single purpose building. Like Bobby had said, we rely on Hollywood product. That is the main source of driving traffic to the movie theaters, and then our sales are subsequently based on that. So we've not had the opportunity to really go out and serve fresh product, if you will, to the public. Other restaurants and so forth have had opportunities with takeout, et cetera. Hotels have had the opportunity to become stations for COVID patients, et cetera. So they've had alternative uses for their spaces. We've not really had that opportunity. In terms of why sales tax, we feel that is very appropriate. It gives us the incentive to help promote getting back to the movies again, so that we would benefit, greater, obviously, as the business picks up over time. And with that being said, this will drive traffic to our local and neighboring businesses once people are getting back out and going to the movie theater. So it's really good for the overall economy.
Thank you. Committee, we need to move on. Are there any other questions for this conferee? Seeing none. Thank you, John. Mitchell, are you
Thank you.
online? Could you,
Yes.
anything that has not been covered, any new information?
The one thing, if you don't mind, I would like to just say I'm a third generation Southwest Kansas dirt farmer with an out of control movie theater hobby. But we have 6 locations in Kansas. 2 things I'd like to point out. One of the questions earlier was about do we think people are going to come back? We have 3 locations in New Mexico that have been closed for over a year. I was out there a week ago in Taos, or 2 weeks ago, and I was greeting customers, and they would come in, and I was visiting with families, and they said, and the families were sick of being inside and wanted to get out and tired of streaming. We had teenagers that were sick of having to have dates in their parents' basements. They were so thrilled to be at the movie theaters. And the big game changer was the vaccine. So many older couples that had been locked down for so long and coming out to watch movies, meeting other couples. And so it was just the realization really hit me that, you know what, the movie business is going to survive because people love to get out and go to the movies. And so I wanted to add that. The other thing is I also want to concur with John and Bobby that we operate in 7 states, and I know we're talking to Senator Dahl and Marty Long and some of the representative people out in our area. I know you guys have had some struggles of how to govern, but I tell you, out of the 7 states that we operate in, I'm so proud of our home state because nobody made 100% right decisions, but you all have been able to balance, even with, I know, the squabbles, but you've been able to balance safety and keeping businesses open, even at just limited capacities and things like that. That looking at other states, I think we're going to come out of it much better than a lot of other states. So I commend you because I'm proud because every time I'm in other sessions too.
Mitchell, I'm going to have to,
I
I hate to
I'm
cut
sorry.
you off. I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I'm going to have
No,
to
that's
pull you
fine.
back
Thank
on
you.
the bill. We have a really important bill after this one. In fact, it's going to impact you guys for the long run going forward. Any comments on the bill? Mitchell?
Yes, that I would just concur. Yes, it's going to be a long haul, and the one thing about that's the bill is from you guys' standpoint is it's not taking money directly out of. I mean, yes, it's future revenues, but it's not taking any funds right now to help us out.
Okay, thank you. Committee, any questions for the conferee? Senator Kirshen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here and explaining your situation. What did the other states do for the movie industry, your businesses in those other states? How did they react? Do they have any compensation or any programs?
By far, Kansas was the best with the $10,000 per screen. Oklahoma gave $25,000 per theater. Colorado, we've got a theater in Dillon. They had a little grant for us for, I think we got $7,000 there. New Mexico and Arizona have done nothing. So Texas hasn't either at the moment either. So you guys, like I say, it's you and we're not in Michigan, but there's 4 or 5 other states that were very supportive, and it makes a difference, and we're very appreciative of that.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mitchell, for your testimony and your comments. Thank you. I'm just sorry we're short on time today.
That's fine.
It tends to get this way at the end of session especially, but this session's been this way all year. Committee, I draw your attention to Todd Halstead, written only, and Derek Hine, written only. Are there any other conferees, proponents, neutral, opponents? I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 228, and we'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 233. Amelia, will you give us an overview on the bill?
Certainly, Madam Chair, members of the committee. It is, but let me get closer. Is that better? Senate Bill number 233 relates to sales taxation and the filing of returns and payments of the tax by retailers. The bill would amend KSA 793607 to increase the thresholds for the time to file returns and payments. Annual returns, retailers would file annual returns when the total tax liability does not exceed $15,000 in any calendar year. This would be an increase from the current $400. Retailers would file quarterly returns when that liability does not exceed $25,000 in any calendar year. That would be an increase from the current $4,000. Retailers would file monthly returns when the total tax liability exceeds $25,000 in any calendar year, and this would be an increase from $4,000. When the total tax liability exceeds $50,000 in any calendar year, the retailer would be required to pay the sales tax liability for the first 15 days of each month on or before the 25th day of that month. And this threshold would be an increase from $40,000. The bill would take effect from and after January 1 of 2022.
Thank you. And committee, I'll tell you, if we work this bill up, I do plan to bring an amendment that currently taxes are paid on an estimate. The theaters would know this more than anyone. And this is an opportunity for the state to make it so that you pay actual instead of estimated. So Darcy, are you online with us? Darcy Smith?
Yes, I am.
And Darcy, I apologize. I meant to cue you up first. I know that you have a business and are very busy, as are all the conferees today. I really appreciate you guys, people from the industry. So Darcy, do you want to speak to the bill?
Sure. My name is Darcy Smith. I own a gas station and convenience store in Fort Scott, Kansas. Family-run business, small business, of course. And in our small business, cash flow is of utmost importance. And we budget for, of course, many different taxes on a state and local level. And it's always kind of nice to know that when we pay sales tax, that's money we've been able to acquire from our customers, not something else out of our budget that we need to figure in. So having to do, especially that paying the estimated for the 1st or the 15th of the month in the future is always kind of a hard thing for us to take, because that's money we have to pull out of our daily budget, that we haven't been compensated for yet. It's, you think about, I don't tell my customers, hey, in the next 15 days, how many times are you going to come in and buy a pop or something? And I'll go ahead and charge you now. And then after the 15th, we'll settle it up and figure if I owe you money or you owe me money. So it just kind of feels like an added burden that I don't really feel like we should have to incur. That's my main part on that. We own a liquor store, and on the liquor excise tax, we don't have to do that. At the end of the month, I can figure out what we owe, and that's exactly what we owe. I don't have to, add and subtract from the prior month or guess on the next month. So just something I feel like we could do away with.
Thank you, Darcy. Committee, any questions? Full disclosure, Darcy is a good friend, a friend of Darcy's and the family, and this bill came to us because her brother, a couple years, runs a business, and we were having a conversation, and he asked if I could do something about it, so I put it on my radar, and that's why we have the bill, committee.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Senator Holland.
I guess I had was KDOR going to testify on this bill at all? Any input on this or not?
They did not send testimony.
Okay. Can I ask Darcy a question?
Absolutely.
Darcy, thanks so much for being here today. I have a question for you, and I didn't quite get that. Do you guys own any sort of an auto dealership, or do you sell cars, or you just have a gas station?
No, we just have a gas station.
Okay. And Darcy, I don't know if you have any comments on this. Full disclosure, I have a Kansas farm winery. I too pay my liquor enforcement taxes after we've collected that, so obviously that is very nice. But a question for you though, I know this has been a while back, but I think at one time we had a situation somewhere in Kansas where I believe used car dealers were basically selling cars and just not remitting sales tax. And I guess the only question I have about getting rid of the estimateds is that, do we open ourselves up to basically some moral hazards of where maybe certain of the larger sales tax collection entities won't pay? And I don't know, Darcy, if you have any input on that or if anybody else does, that's just my question about this.
The interesting thing I would say about that is, when I was kind of thinking about this bill and this whole procedure, it kind of makes me feel like the state doesn't trust me that I'm going to pay my sales taxes that I collect. So I guess I kind of understand your point. Wouldn't necessarily probably be the same in my business as it would be a car sale, you know, or sales of cars, but because that is a substantial amount. But I did kind of have that thought, like, do you not trust that I'm going to pay my taxes at the end of the month? And that's why you're making me pay ahead of time. And it, you know, kind of leaves a little bad taste in your mouth, I feel like.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Darcy.
Sure.
Is there, Senator Alley? I'm sorry, Darcy, Senator Alley has a question for you.
Okay.
This probably isn't for Darcy, but
Okay.
my question is on the fiscal note. The revenue and the expenditures, it shows 167. Is that 167,000 for the year 22? Is that because of delay of receiving? That's the only, the funds, the sales tax will be paid. It's just a delay in receiving that money. Okay, thank you.
That is correct. If we make the amendment, I'm not sure what the current fiscal note, but we'll look into that, Senator Alley.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again, Darcy. Is there anybody else that would like to testify for the bill? Randy, would you state your
Thank you, Madam Chair. Randy Stuckey, Kansas Agribusiness Retailers Association. We intended to submit proponent on the underlying bill, but did not, but I will get your written testimony. I wanted to stand up and say that we do support the underlying bill, but certainly with the amended or the proposed amendment, we would stand in strong support of that change and have for some time now as ag retailers in the state of Kansas. So certainly would appreciate that amendment, and I'll get you certain written testimony to support that.
Thank you. Thank you for the.
Thank you.
Yes, sure. I was wondering why we didn't have much testimony. I'm thinking now, okay.
Because we're really busy right now.
Yeah.
I'm in the same, Scott Schneider, Kansas Restaurant and Hospitality Association. I'm in the same position as Randy. We don't have testimony, but I will get you that. I appreciate you bringing this bill forward. It is something that I've testified on a couple of other bills as cliffs that we've identified, especially with the amendment. As you shut down and you've got to prepay, you have to make a decision. Are you going to pay your employees? Or are you going to pay the state? Who wins in this environment? So we appreciate it and we would support this idea.
Actually, it was your testimony that reminded me to cue this bill back up again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to testify, submit testimony? The theaters? No. I'm just, no, that's fine. Are there any opponents to the bill? Anybody neutral on the bill? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 233. Thank you, committee. I would turn your attention, committee, at this time. I want to, and this is unusual, a little unprecedented. We passed out Senate substitute for House Bill 2104 yesterday, and there will be an amendment across the floor. There was an agreement between 3 groups last night, and do you want to come and address the committee on this? Honorable Carl Skin, I don't know which title you want. My head is running through. Yeah. Honorable Superintendent. Yeah. Okay.
No, Jim
Committee, just for the committee, there will be an amendment on the floor today, and I wanted you guys to understand what went on before we debate this on the floor. Thank you.
Okay. It's my understanding, and there's been several groups involved, it's my understanding that the amendment will have 3 or 4 dates in it, some changes. We had requested the date change of July 15th to July 25th. The compromise has been reached to go to July 20th. There's also an issue with the county clerks on getting things done and getting the notices out on neutral, so you could have hearings with citizens. That's moving from, can't start from August the 10th to August the 15th, because county clerks on election years, they will be involved in primaries at that time, so it'll give them a break there. There's a date of August the 25th that's in current statute that it was amended yesterday in 2104 to go to the 20th of September, which we're fine with.
that doesn't impact us. So it helps the schools, it helps the counties, and and there's going to be some work to try to be able to get the money that schools receive earlier than the 7th or 8th of July, maybe the 2nd or 3rd. Now, there's a lot of issues around that, but that's what the conceptual, I haven't seen the amendment, but that's conceptually what it is.
That's my understanding as to all parties involved, that what the agreement was. So we'll be running that across the floor today. Committee, Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so, Jim, just to follow up to that, are the dates then going to be consistent then for everybody? These aren't special dates for schools, correct? I mean, this is an agreement that all entities will operate with these dates?
Senator Tyson, I don't know, it was the 15th for others, and, at one point it was moved to 25th. Everybody's on the 20th?
I think so. I'm going to have to double check the language. I'll answer that on the floor.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
Committee, any other questions? Thank you for coming up too.
Okay.
Glad you're here today.
Thank you.
Yep.
And thank you, committee.
So committee, I'm going to turn your attention to House Bill 2106. Amelia, will you give us an overview?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, House Bill number 2106 extends the deadline for corporations to file Kansas income tax returns. The bill would amend 793221 to extend the April 15th deadline for taxpayers filing corporate tax returns to 1 month after their federal return filing due date, including any extensions. And this would apply to beginning with tax year 2020.
Any questions on the bill, committee? I have an amendment. I'm going to hand it out. Committee, this is language that we've seen before. What this amendment would do is exempt anyone that had their identity stolen or money stolen out of a retirement account, would exempt them from any responsibility of Kansas income tax as a result of the theft. Did I describe that properly, Amelia? Yeah, I think so. Okay, Senator Holland.
Madam Chair, was this the language that I believe we had in, one of the earliest tax bills we ran across the floor this year, or a version of that? Or
It is a version of it. I deleted the word unemployment so that it's not just limited to unemployment funds. So that way, if it's another fund that is stolen from, if somebody used your identity and there was financial gain and there are income taxes owed against it, Kansas state income tax, this would remove you from that obligation.
Thank you.
Senator Holland, yep. Any other questions, committee? Seeing none, I'll move my amendment. Is there a second? It's been moved by Senator Tyson, seconded by Senator Steffen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Committee, I have another amendment. Should have these handed out. Committee, what this amendment does, it seems last year and this year we're attempting to chase federal dates for filing returns, and this would just state that our statute, we line up with the federal date, whatever it may be. So if it's delayed, last year it was delayed till July, this year it's delayed till May, Kansas would just automatically sync up with those dates without further legislation going forward. Amelia?
I would just clarify that the language of the balloon is for non-corporate filings, that the language relating to corporations, which includes the additional month, still exists in the bill. This would be for non-corporate filers.
Thank you, Amelia. And yes, I want to make that clear. We are keeping the original contents of 2106. This is just in addition to. Any questions? Well, I'll move my amendment. Is there a second? Oh. Yes. Yeah, the individual filers. Basically. So it's been moved by Senator Tyson, seconded by Senator Baumgardner. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. I think I got one more. I'm going to hand out 2 amendments at once this time to expedite the process. Okay, committee, I do have another amendment. I would like to put the contents of Senate Bill 46 as amended by this committee, what we passed out, into the contents of 2106. And Senate Bill 46 is the one that would remove income tax on retirement accounts. Are there any questions? Oh, Senator Holland?
Yeah, real quick, Madam Chair, what was the
Fiscal note, 213 million.
Okay.
Do you want to be my
Thank you.
second? No questions. Committee, I'll move the amendment. Is there a second? Senator Steffen. It's been moved by Senator Tyson, seconded by Senator Steffen. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Would you like to be recorded? Okay. Motion carries. Committee, the last one, I don't know. I have concern over this. I'm not sure which way we want to go, and I'm just going to open it up for discussion. I'm not going to offer this yet. But we had a hearing on Senate Bill 2104, and we used that bill as a vehicle to move out the 20 mil school levy. I don't want to lose the bill. We have the original bill, which did not, I'm sorry. Committee, that amendment was a little too quick. Sorry about that. I'm going to save that one for another bill. So stolen, that's all I have on this bill. Oh, no, I wanted to bring up the discussion on, I think we'll pass them out as individual bills. Committee, that's all I've got on this one, unless anybody has anything else. Is there, what are your wishes on the bill, committee? To move it out? Make the motion. Senator Alley.
Make a motion, we pass 2104 out as amended.
21.
I'm sorry, I have the wrong one. 2106 out as amended.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved by Senator Alley, seconded by Senator Steffen. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, committee. Committee, I'll I would like to work Senate Bill 149, but we still need to get some information on it. So any amendments that you will have on that bill, we're going to meet Monday. We have another appointment, and so we'll work these bills and have a hearing on the appointment on Monday, committee. Also, Senate Bill 180 was brought to us. If anybody has any good ideas how to fix that bill, it's a great idea. It just, the execution needs some work. It's the one on sales tax exemptions for veterans. And I will pick up committee 2143. Amelia, will you give us an overview on it?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, House Bill number 2143 relates to retailer sales tax and would remove the sunset that's currently in place for the exclusion of certain cash rebates by a motor vehicle manufacturer from the sale or selling price. Currently, the exemption provision is scheduled to end June 30, 2021.
Thank you, Amelia. Committee, any questions on the bill?
Question?
Senator Steffen.
Thank you. As I remember, that one didn't include dealership vouchers on it.
It did. It was the one that didn't include coupons, manufactured.
Didn't include coupons.
We're going to leave the coupons off. And because of that, I would actually ask that the committee entertain sunsetting this bill so that we have time to reach out to the streamlined sales tax and work on exclusions so that at some point we can actually include the coupons. So committee, I would offer an amendment that we sunset this bill in 3 years. Senator Holland has been moved by Senator Tyson, seconded by Senator Holland. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Committee, I'm going to wait to finish this bill until Monday. I do have a couple other things for it, but I am going to bring your attention now to Senate Bill 263. It's the one we had yesterday or Monday, the child care. Amelia, thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, Senate Bill number 263 relates to income taxation and would eliminate the reduction of the child daycare services assistant tax credit when it currently decreases from 50% to 30% in the subsequent years after the establishment of the facility. The bill would also eliminate the limitation of this credit to only corporate taxpayers, and it would establish a credit for employer payments to organizations for child daycare services access.
Committee, any questions on the bill? Senator Steffen.
Thank you. It's slipping my mind exactly why we need this tax credit.
Senator Steffen, that's a good question. I know the conferees were convinced that they need it. Yeah, that's fine. Any other questions on the bill? Senator Holland.
Madam Chair, I apologize. I missed the hearing on this. Do we know, when it says about corporate taxpayers claim, they can claim it, do we know how much is being claimed currently under the program?
I'm not sure that was included in the packet. Eddie, do you? Thank you. Senator Corson, did you have a question while he's looking that up?
No, I mean, I just had a kind of a comment in reply to what Senator Stafford said. I mean, I just think this is a really important bill in that it kind of helps incentivize employers to make childcare available for employees, which is a really important benefit for so many working families. And, you know, if I know that in my district and folks kind of in my peer group, this would be a huge help if more employers were able to offer affordable, accessible childcare for their employees as far as employee attraction and retention and things like that. I mean, just speaking personally, in some cases, I think it would be more important than a salary increase for a lot of folks when they're deciding where to work if they knew that one employer was making available, reliable, safe, on-site childcare and one wasn't. So I think it is just a small way to encourage more employers to think about that in the mix of things that they're offering when it comes to attracting people to work in Kansas. Thank you.
Senator Alley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For clarification purposes, I wasn't here when this was discussed. So right now, the corporate taxpayers can claim this if they offer it. Is that correct? And now we want to give an additional 30% tax credit to the individual?
I think it's 50%.
It is, okay, I'm sorry, it's just 50% to the individual that's paying?
Amelia? Yeah.
Actually, there's a couple different components. This is an amendment to a current statute that exists, a current income tax credit. What happens is that a taxpayer, the business, may be eligible for an income tax or privilege tax credit in the amount of 50% of the amount they spend to establish a child care facility in the first year, in the year that's established. In subsequent years, they're allowed a 30% credit for their expenses, less any money they get from their employees. In subsequent years, the tax credit just reduces to 30% of the money they spend. What this bill would do is instead of 30%, it would be 50%. Then there's also, at the end, there was a limitation placed, I believe, beginning in tax year 2013. If you'll recall, at that time period, a lot of tax credits were limited to corporate taxpayers. This bill would remove that limitation to corporate taxpayers only.
Any other questions? Senator Stephan? No. Okay. Committee, what are your wishes on the bill? Senator Holland?
I'd like to move the bill out favorable for passage.
Is there a second on the motion? Senator Corson? Discussion, Senator Stephan?
Is it too late to make an amendment?
No, if you want to, we can hold off until Monday, working this bill.
Or do it conceptually?
What's the amendment?
I would like to leave the expansion from beyond corporate, but take off the 50% in subsequent years and leave that at 30%.
That motion would be a substitute motion, and it is in order. Are you making it as a motion, or?
I would like to make a motion that we amend SB 263 accordingly.
Okay. For simplicity, I would just ask that the previous motion be withdrawn.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you. As a second and agree. Okay, thank you. Previous, so we are on your motion then. Is there a second on your motion?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Senator Stephan, seconded by Senator Holland. Amelia, do you have the language you need? Amelia. Okay.
I just want to clarify that I have the motion correctly stated. Your motion is to where the change in the bill went from 30% to 50%, you would like to put it back to 30%.
Correct.
And that is the only change.
But you're opening it up to individuals as well, right?
That's already in there. Yeah.
I guess that's part of the I guess for purposes of clarification, you are leaving the expansion to beyond corporate taxpayers, but that's not technically an amendment because that's already in the bill.
Correct.
So I just want to clarify, the only change in your motion is to move anything that was 30 back to 30.
Correct.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Do you want to be recorded? Motion carries. Back on the bill. Senator Holland.
I'd move that we pass out Senate Bill 263 favorably as amended for passage.
It's been moved. Senator Baumgartner. Okay. It's been moved by Senator Holland, seconded by Senator Corson to move the bill out favorably for passage as amended. Senator Baumgartner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can the revisor share with us, these would be licensed daycare providers. I don't see that in the bill. I think that there is a distinction.
Thank you, Senator Amelia.
If you look at page 2, beginning at line 22, there is a provision that no credit shall be allowed under this section unless the child daycare facility or provider is licensed pursuant to Kansas law.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I didn't see it, but I'm glad to know that.
Oh, thank you. It's good for the clarification. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, committee. I will let you know that we are going to plan to look at Senate Bill 87, Senate Bill 282, and the ones that we had discussed earlier. Is there any other business to be brought before the committee? Seeing none, again, thank you for your work. We're adjourned.